So we're going to finish up chapter 19 by talking about cholesterol and steroids. And we've already taken notes on cholesterol. So we've already gone over that section, but I think it's helpful to review it right before we talk about steroids. So first of all, and this is something that you already have in your notes, a steroid is a class of molecules. So a steroid is just a type of molecule, like alcohol is a type of molecule, or carboxylic acid is a type of molecule. A steroid is a molecule that contains this this foundationary structure to it. It's got these 4 rings, and they are fused or stuck together in this exact pattern. Cholesterol is a specific molecule in the structure you have in your notes, and it's also right here. It's got the 4 fused rings that are in that particular pattern, and there's variations on the rings. So we've got variations on the things that are attached to the rings. There's a double bond inside one of the rings, and that's okay as long as we have the 4 ring structure. Then it is classified as a type of a steroid. Cholesterol, as we talked about in the last lecture, cholesterol is synthesized in your liver, and most of the cholesterol in your body comes from your liver. So only about 25% of your cholesterol comes from your diet for the average person. And inside of our body, we will find cholesterol in our blood and in our tissues, and we talked about the negative consequences of having too much cholesterol. We also talked about lipoproteins, which I said were like the Uber drivers for cholesterol. Lipoproteins are little blobs, oily blobs that move cholesterol throughout the body. Some of the lipoproteins, the LDLs, move cholesterol from the liver to other places in the body. And then the other lipoproteins, HDLs, move cholesterol in the other direction. So they pick it up and take it back to the liver. And this is a pretty cool picture of a lipoprotein. It's a single layer of phospholipids in the cell wall, so it's not a double layer. It's got cholesterols that are just sort of embedded in the wall of the membrane. There are some proteins that are embedded in the wall of the lipoprotein as well. And then on the inside, there's just this ooey gooey mess of triglycerides, which are fats and oils, and some cholesterol that gets kind of sucked in and stuck to those fats and oils. So I can kind of imagine in my mind what a lipoprotein would look like inside of our body, and I feel like it would look really gross. LDL carries cholesterol that are used in making cell membranes. So remember, LDL is transporting from the liver to some part of your body so that your body can put together a cell. And HDL carries cholesterol back to the liver for the purpose of making steroids, and also for the purpose of cleaning up inside your body. LDL, we talked about how this is called the bad cholesterol, because if it gets too much cholesterol, if there's too much cholesterol in it, if it has too many passengers, it will just kind of randomly drop cholesterol off in places where it doesn't really belong, like in your arteries where it can build up. HDL is like a vacuum cleaner. It will pick up excess cholesterol that's been dropped off in random places and bring it back to the liver, where it can be turned into hormones or sent back out to try to be used to make a cell wall. Oops, I went too far there. Where are we? Here. So steroids, we're ready to talk about steroids. Steroids are a type of a hormone. Or they're the same thing as hormones. I'm sorry. Steroids are hormones. And hormones, we've talked about this already. Hormones are messenger molecules. We synthesize them in one part of our body, like they're synthesized in an organ, and they are moved far away to a far away place inside the body to carry out some sort of function. When we first learned about hormones, we were comparing them to neurotransmitters, which carry messages over small distances from one nerve cell to the other. Hormones carry messages over long distances. So we have 2 general classes of hormones. We have female sex hormones and male sex hormones that we're going to talk about. Female sex hormones, there are 2 different types. There are estrogens, which there are several of those, and progestin. Estrogens are responsible for secondary sex characteristics and regulation of menstruation. Secondary sex characteristics, if you don't remember or never learned what that is, These are features of our sex features that are not related to reproduction. So this would be things in women like breasts, widening of hips during puberty. For males, it would be facial hair development, underarm hair, pubic hair for both males and females. So things like that. They're characteristics of the male or female sex that are not related to reproduction. Progestin, which gets our body ready for pregnancy, and then the male sex hormones are all androgens, which are responsible for secondary sex characteristics. So here are the female sex hormones, which we have already seen. Progesterone, this guy right here, which helps get our body ready for pregnancy. And we talked about how we can trick our body into thinking that it's pregnant by providing synthetic versions of this molecule inside of our body. And that is a form of birth control. We have the estrogens, estradiol, and estrone. These are responsible for our secondary sex characteristics and also for regulating menstruation. And then we have thelol, which is a lesser known female sex hormone that's synthesized during pregnancy. Our male sex hormones, these are all secondary sex characteristics: androsterone, testosterone, and then this one with a huge name, dehydroepiandrosterone. And so all of these, all that they do for males is just contribute to the secondary sex characteristics. When we talk in everyday land, when we refer to steroids has a negative connotation to it. And so in everyday terms, the word steroid is typically referring to synthetic testosterone and synthetic androsterone. The synthetic steroids were originally designed for medical use, as we all know. Looking at this picture right here, and we can all laugh at this guy. We all know that steroids can be used to quickly increase muscle mass. And so originally, steroids were designed for individuals who had some sort of muscle atrophy. Maybe they'd been sick for a long time and immobile, or maybe they had some sort of illness that made it difficult for their body to build muscle mass. And so steroids were created and are still used today medically to help people that have some sort of deficiency in their muscle mass. But then, as we all know, that they are abused as well. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about adrenal cortical steroids, which you've probably heard of before, and I'm sure you've probably heard of prednisone before. Adrenal cortical steroids are another type of steroid, not a female or male sex hormone. And they are naturally produced in our body in response to some sort of inflammation. So let's say you sprain your ankle and your ankle swells up, your body will produce adrenal cortical steroids, cortisone and cortisol. And the job of those two steroids are to help reduce inflammation. Prednisone is a synthetic cortisone. It's a synthetic adrenal cortical steroid, and it's used for the same purpose, swelling. So if our body is not able to produce enough cortisone or cortisol to handle swelling, then we are able to provide a patient with synthetic prednisone, to help treat the swelling. Prednisone is also effective against allergic or autoimmune responses, and it's very helpful in the organ rejection, prevention of organ rejection.